Hey everyone, today just thought I'd show you a little technique of creating a landscape in Lightwave. I'm just going to start with a simple flat plane, subdivided plane in Modeler. Use the up and down arrow keys to get a nice subdivided flat plane. Click enter. I'm going to hit tab on the keyboard to turn it into a subdivision object. And I'll just save this as landscape 001, and I'll send it over to layout. Okay, under objects, properties, deform tab, we're going to use the displacement map. Here, I'll turn that off for a second. Okay, under layer type, let's add a procedural, and you can see already scrubbing on the texture value here, I can raise and lower the height of the landscape. I'm just going to go over the surfaces here. It has a default surface, and I'll just turn smoothing on just to kind of get a little better look and layout here. I'm going to make the scale of this about half of this, and a little less than that. This will be the general ground cover for this landscape. It'll just have just so it's not completely flat. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to add kind of a mountain range in the far distance. So I'll add a layer, a procedural, and right now this turbulence layer is what I just added. It's on top. Its blending mode is set to normal, which means it's just overriding what I just did, which is good for now because I am going to want to set this up and see it by itself. Kind of think of it as like a solo button to see your work. If I uncheck it, I see my layer underneath here, which is still on, but I want to check this one because I want to manipulate the settings a bit. So one thing I want to do is set up a mountain range in the background. So under scale, under the x-axis, I can kind of interactively scrub and get my mountain ranges kind of going here. And one thing I want to do is use fall off. Go to the fall off tab. I'll leave it to cubic. And if I fall off on the Z, what it does is it'll kind of pull in. You see, it just created this range here that I've created fall off with, and I've kind of isolated one range of mountain. Now I want to use position in the Z to push it back over to the end of my model here. So let's say that's good. Yeah, that's good. Now one thing you can do under your object property panel, under geometry tab, the subdivision order is set to first. If I crank this up to like 9, I can see more of what I would probably render out in the end. You might not want to work this way because it might start getting heavy for your CPU to redraw all these polygons, but I think I can deal with 9 here, so I'll leave it at that. I'll show you again. Yeah, it's slowing down just a little bit, but you still see more detail in layout working this way. You'll see how your mountains kind of blend together. Okay, so I'm going to add another procedural layer, and this one I'm going to change to a dented one. Okay, again, it's overriding everything. And what I want to do is go to fall off, and this time set it to spherical, and I'm going to scrub on the X here and on the Z. What I want to do is I'm just trying to highlight one of these kind of tall, tall mountainous formations, and I'm going to put that near the foreground of this shot. So once I used fall off to kind of isolate that, now I'll use position to kind of drag it around and put it closer to the foreground here. Maybe not quite so high, and maybe not quite so much fall off. Okay. Now another thing, fall off is kind of controlling how much of it spreads out, but also if you change the blending mode to additive, then the values that I'm creating here with this dented procedural are being added to what was underneath it. So if I go to the turbulence layer underneath it and change it to additive also, not a whole lot changes. But you'll kind of prevent things from overwriting each other, and now they can just be adding to each other. So if I want, I can add another procedural layer here. I'll set its mode to additive, and let's leave it at turbulence, and let's use a spherical fall off, and I want to kind of grab another sort of range, mountain range, and I'll kind of position it over and up toward the camera. So see how you can kind of blend these mountainous formations together and get these kind of neat landscapes. Sure, you could do this in other landscape programs, but I thought this was kind of cool that I could do this right here in Lightwave interactively. And the coolest part, I think, is that you can actually animate these values. So here's, this is one quick technique for kind of creating mountain ranges. Now if you want, I can save the scene file, or I can go to File, Save, Objects, Save Transformed Object, and give this a different name. And what it'll do is it'll save a model that's already deformed like this, and I can just load it up into layout next time, and it's like a pre-made, ready-to-go landscape in this shape. But let me call up another scene that I had made earlier just as a quick test, which is, I'm just going to scrub through it here. Again, this is just animating the values that we were just doing in that last scene. So if I click on Properties and Deform, these are all the procedurals that I added to create this particular scene that I'm showing you. And as I go through the list, you'll notice that some of them, the layer opacity, I have an envelope turned on for those, and I'm animating the values of those over time. So if I click on that, let me just make some room here. I scroll down, and I'm just dragging the opacity up into the key bin here. And so I've got these 4 values that I've animated over time. And it's kind of cool. You can just kind of drag and change the timing of the keyframes. If I hit tab, all that disappears, but stays active. If I hit tab again, it comes right back. So just by animating these envelopes and the different procedurals, I can get different timings of when these things form and combine different things. So you can create some cool landscapes that form. So I just thought I'd show you this technique. I thought it was pretty cool, and I hope you like it.